So, what is the biggest global challenge you care about and why?
The biggest global challenge that I care about like right now, I think is probably just human rights in general. It's like a really complicated topic just everywhere in the world. And it's so different, especially like when you think about like human rights in America versus human rights in Europe versus human rights in Africa. So that's the issue that I care about, just because it's just like it's different everywhere, and yeah.
That's really true. Really true. Okay, and why do global issues affect you?
Global issues affect me. Well, I've been interested in like world issues since middle school, I think. And I know that because it feels like as the world, like as time goes on, it feels like the world gets smaller and countries interact more, and so being involved in global issues is just as important as being involved in local issues, as long as you have the capacity to worry about both. And so I think it's important to consider global issues, because you never know who you're going to meet, you never know who you're going to have to work with, and so being aware and knowing what's going on in the world is really important.
How involved are you with advocacy, and how did you get involved with advocacy?
Well, since this summer, I've gotten more involved. Before now, I haven't really had very many opportunities to advocate for very much, just because, um, like the area in which I live, I haven't really been exposed to a lot of those opportunities. And so through Global Scholar, I kind of realized that I'm really passionate about like voter suppression and voter rights. So this summer was my first experience really with advocating for anything, and it was a really great experience, and I'm hoping to expand on that over this summer.
And how has Global Scholar helped you?
Oh, okay. Global Scholars helped me so much. Before I started, on the survey, they asked, how comfortable are you with like educating people on issues that you care about, and how comfortable are you with just education in general, like teaching people about certain issues. And I wasn't really confident because you know, I want to be aware, I want to be involved, but I didn't really know how to go about that per se. And so through Global Scholar, learning like in the action labs, learning about empathy and the empathy maps, learning about how to strategically plan, and learning that as a teenager, and for me personally as an only child, I am already a strategic planner, and I've already been using tactics to like convince parents of things and everything. So it's just realizing that I have the potential to do things. Global Scholar really just drew that out of me. And I became a lot more confident in not only researching about issues that I care about, but also being able to um, convey those interests and convey why it matters to other people. And I've also just, my eyes have been completely open to the different perspectives that you can have on certain issues, and just the different ways that you can make change, not only in government, but just like in nonprofits or in other organizations outside of government. And so Global Scholar has helped me in so many ways. And it's just really amazing how much I learned in 2 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I was also surprised by how much I learned because I did not expect to learn that much through Global Scholar. And this is one of the final questions.
Okay.
So, how are youth voices powerful?
Youth voices are powerful because, at least for like the generations before us, like older people, they're not, so to speak, expecting youth to speak out. So like you see examples of youth making really big change, like people like Greta Thunberg. And so just because of that sort of mentality that youth aren't supposed to be like involved in issues, sort of, that's part of the reason why when like youth voices are like rise to advocate for issues, that's why it kind of brings a lot of attention to that. And also just because youth voices, we are the future, and we hear that a lot, but it's like really true. And so all of the issues that we see now in the news, and that we are anticipating, especially with like climate change, and most recently the pandemic and everything, which hopefully will be solved before we have to completely intervene. But we definitely have a big role in helping to make change, just because we are the ones who are going to have to bear the brunt of these issues in the future.
And as you've started advocating, are there any challenges or obstacles that you've noticed, and how do you overcome those challenges?
Some of the challenges that I've been facing recently are like due to where I live. So, like, for example, at the legislator meetings, I contacted one of my senators like last week or the week before, and they haven't gotten back with me yet, because they said, oh, your senator would love to contact you, but he is unavailable at this time. So someone from his legislative team will get into contact with you as soon as possible. Well, that hasn't happened yet. So I think when you advocate for things, like, it depends on like where you live, that you face certain challenges. Like, for example, like issues that you might face in the South aren't the same as what you might face in the North. Like, for example, like voter suppression and like things like that. So, and also just because like some people will disregard like a youth voice, because especially like if you're not of voting age, like even if you're a constituent, you might not be considered like to be somebody with like a prominent voice, just because like we're not like of age yet.
And how long have you been involved with global affairs, and why are you interested in global affairs still?
So I became interested in global affairs this past year, my sophomore year of high school. I've always, like I said, I've always been really involved in. Um, I've wanted to. I've always wanted to be involved in current events, like knowing what's going on in the world. Um, I've been interested in politics, and at first I thought that I wanted to be like a representative, or maybe like a politician, but I didn't really know how to go about, so to speak, like kindling that interest. And so I'm in the IB program, which is International Baccalaureate. It's a magnet program at my school, and it's a worldwide curriculum. So it's taught all around the world. And so the seniors each year, they do a capstone project, and at that capstone project, I think there was this one student, this one senior, who was talking about international affairs and basically what it entailed and all of that. And it kind of just clicked for me in my brain. I was like, oh, so that's what I want to be interested in. I'm still interested in it because, partially because of Global Scholar. When I first applied, I didn't have any experience with like, I hadn't done Model UN. I haven't, lobbied for anything. I haven't done any of that. But through Global Scholar, I realized just how many outlets there are for making change. And I'm still interested in it because I know it's possible to make change. Like, even now, I know that I can make a difference locally, and even as I get older, globally. So it gives me hope to know that I can create the change that I want to see.
Do you have any final thoughts that you would like to share?
Let's see. Just Global Scholar was one of the best experiences that I've had, like, ever. I've been to a couple of summer programs since I was in middle school, and I don't really think that any of them had as big of an impact in terms of like, or in terms of like such a short period of time, and learning so much about an area of like learning that I've never really explored before. Global Scholar was amazing. Like, the staff was amazing, the activities were fantastic, and just the other global scholars were so admirable, and they pushed me to want to do more, and they pushed me to want to figure out exactly what I wanted to be interested in. And so Global Scholars is a really fantastic program, and yeah, that's my those are my final thoughts.